Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Mouse Club podcast. My name is Marissa, and I'm the host of this podcast. Welcome. I'm so excited that you're joining us this week. It's going to be a really spooky and fun Halloween episode, and I'm really excited for you guys to hear it. This week, we are talking about the ghosts that supposedly haunt Disney World and Disneyland, and I think this is going to be a really fun one because, there's just so many urban legends about the parks, and I'm excited to talk about them and read these stories to you guys. So it's going to be really fun, really spooky. If you're not already, get cozy. Maybe turn the lights off, make it a little creepy in your room, and it's going to be a fun episode for Halloween. Of course, if you are not already following us at the Mouse Club Podcast on Instagram, please do that. I post a lot of polls, a lot of stories. I want to get you guys involved with the episodes. Actually, this week I wanted to do a whole segment reading your stories, but unfortunately nobody sent any stories into the email. So hopefully next year we'll get some submissions, or the next time I need some stories to read. So definitely go follow me on there so that way you can be notified for participation for future episodes. And yeah, if you guys would like to leave us a rating and review on the Apple Podcast app, that would be greatly appreciated. 5 stars really helps me get to the top of search boxes when people search up Disney podcasts. So it would be very helpful if you guys could help me with that. And anyway, I think that's it. Oh, actually, one more announcement. Next week's episode will not be on Wednesday. It will be coming out on either Friday or Saturday because I have a very special guest coming on. And when I say very special guest, I mean I cannot believe that this person is coming on my podcast, and I'm freaking out. And let's just say he's been in quite a few Disney movies, and he is going to be a very special treat for our Halloween special. You do not want to miss it, so just be aware. It's not going to be on Wednesday because he wasn't available until Thursday to record, so it will be coming out next weekend. Just a little heads up, but you guys are going to love the episode, I can guarantee. So anyway, diving into some Mouse Club news. The first thing is that the new trailer for Raya and the Last Dragon just came out today as this episode is coming out. It looks so good, just from the first teaser trailer, and I'm really excited. I was so confused because they just announced Kelly Marie Tran was going to be doing the voice maybe a month or two ago, I feel like. And then the trailer's already out. But then I remembered, if you haven't seen the Frozen Into the Unknown documentary series on Disney Plus, then I remembered that the movie really is not finished until a year after the first trailer is released. So, well, not a year because it's coming out in March, but not for a while. So that's really interesting to me because I always thought when the trailer came out that the movie was finished, and now I know that that's not the case. So I'm really excited to see it. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure you can find it anywhere: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, the new trailer, and it looks very good. I'm very excited, and I can't wait to see more trailers. Obviously, it's just a teaser, so there's not too much to the story unveiled, but I think it's going to be a good one. Next up, Universal Studios Beijing just launched a huge video detailing a ton of stuff, from their city walk to some new hotels to all of the lands that are going to be in the parks, which Universal Studios Beijing is opening next year. And the things look amazing. Everything that they pointed out looks amazing, and I marked down some particular things I wanted to talk about. But if you want to see every single thing that they unveiled, you can go check that out on the Universal Studios Orlando page, I believe is where they posted it. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube as well. But the first thing is their city walk. They're going to be getting Toothsome and Cowfish, and both of those are so good. Toothsome is my favorite. I love Toothsome so much. I feel like I've talked about it in this podcast 100 times, but the chocolate creme brulee is so good. It speaks to me in my dreams, and it's so good. And also at Cowfish, they have really good sushi, and they have really good fried pickles. Take my word for it and go try them. They are so delicious. Also, the Universal Studios Grand Hotel, I believe is what it's called. That one reminds me so much of the Beverly Hills Hotel. Because it has the huge fountain, and the font is kind of the same. So I feel like that's probably what they were trying to replicate with this hotel. It looks really nice. As far as the lands go in the park, Minion Land, that one is so funny to me because Minions are so popular. And so I think that's going to do really, really well. There's also going to be a Kung Fu Panda Land, which I'm very excited about because I feel like Kung Fu Panda does not get a lot of love in the Universal parks, and it's a really cute movie. So yeah, actually I think there's like 3 of those now, but the land looks really cool. It looks very like peaceful, I guess is the word to describe it. There's going to be a boat ride and other things like that. I think it's going to be really cool. Also, there's going to be Harry Potter, of course. The Wizarding World of Harry Potter will be coming to Universal Studios Beijing, and it looks very similar to the ones here in Orlando, but I'm really excited that they're going to be able to have it in the Beijing park. And lastly, the last thing I wanted to point out was Jurassic World is coming, not Jurassic Park. So that's really exciting that they are transitioning to this new chapter of the Jurassic legacy, I guess is the right way to say it. And I think it's going to be super awesome because they're focusing on the newer movies of Jurassic World. And I think the new Jurassic World movie is coming out like very soon. I think like next year or something. So that's going to be really exciting. The Jurassic World movies are so good in my opinion. So that's awesome. And hopefully I get a chance to visit Universal Studios Beijing one day. Next up, Once Upon a Snowman. It's a new short, a Frozen short, is going to be streaming Friday on Disney Plus, and it's basically about when Elsa creates Olaf and how he finds Anna, like the process leading up to that. So that should be really fun. I'm excited to see that. And lastly, there is going to be a Lego Star Wars holiday special streaming November 17th on Disney Plus. They haven't really released many details about that yet, but it should be fun. Lego Star Wars, obviously Lego and Star Wars, they're both very popular, so I'm excited to see what that's all about. And that is pretty much it for the Mouse Club news. So we will be right back and after the short break. All right, guys, I'm here with Blake, my husband. He's joining me again. Pew, 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 pew.
Spooky.
Ooh.
Spooky season. Get your pumpkin spice lattes out, babies.
Tell them your favorite pumpkin spice drink. Oh, you're drinking it right now.
No, this is a different one. This has more caffeine. This has 5 shots of espresso. Get you real coked out. Just kidding, guys. It's a PG podcast. Best thing, cold brew, pumpkin cream cold brew at Starbucks. Haven't tried it. Get it.
Well, we have closed the blinds and we have lit the candles, so it's nice and spooky in here while we read some urban legends about ghosts at the Disney parks. So I'm excited. Are you excited?
Let's do it.
You believe in ghosts?
Yes.
You do?
Oh, yes. That's fact.
I didn't know you believed in ghosts.
I believe in ghosts. They're real.
I don't know what ghosts are, but I definitely think that there's something out there.
There's ghosts, dude.
Well, anyway, with that, I should probably say, before we started, when I used to work at the parks, when I worked at Gringotts, I was so scared all the time because sometimes we would have like early morning hours, so we'd have to be there at like 6 a.m. And when it's like there's nobody in the parks and the hallways are empty, it's so creepy and spooky, and you always like turn your shoulder like you think there's somebody behind you. And in Gringotts, there's these goblins in the hall, and when they turn off the audio, their mouth still moves, and they still move. Like, they move all night long. They never stop moving, but they just don't talk. So their mouth is just like opening and closing, and it's creepy. And what?
It was pretty creepy.
And yeah, when I worked at Disney, when you would go through the tunnels, like at the end of the night after your shift, when it's like 4 a.m. and there's like nobody in there, it's so creepy as well. I had to add that little piece to the story. So the first article I have is from Bustle. The article is called These 9 Disney park ghost stories will make you lose sleep tonight. Uh-oh.
Fake.
Spooky. Okay, the first one is a ghost named Dolly. I've heard about this ghost before, so let's hear the story. In 1984, Regina Young, known as Dolly, fell from her seat while riding the Matterhorn at Disneyland and was killed when she was struck by another oncoming bobsled. Her seatbelt was unbuckled, but we don't know whether she undid it herself or whether it was the result of something else.
Yeah, she undid it.
These days,
100%.
Some cast members claim to have felt like someone was watching them during their routine walkthroughs of the ride, which are conducted at the end of the day. The area on the track where Young died is known as Dolly's Dip. Spooky.
Fake.
I have to say, while riding the Matterhorn, that ride is so uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's the worst
and
ever.
So jerky.
I don't blame the girl for unbuckling her seatbelt, you know?
Why? That's the worst
terrible.
ride to take it off. What was she going to do? Jump off?
It was uncomfortable.
It doesn't matter. It's for your
her.
safety. Don't say that. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I remember getting off that ride and I was like, why did I ride that? It was so uncomfortable.
It's not good for the Husky brothers.
I'm very grateful that we have Everest here because it's just much smoother than the Matterhorn. A much more comfortable ride experience. Okay, the next one is Walt Disney. There's so many different rumors that Walt Disney haunts the parks in so many different areas. So I don't know if this is true. I mean, there's so many rumors about Walt Disney in general that he had his head frozen. So who knows? Anyway, so according to Bustle, this article, it says, I'm trying to find where it starts. Okay, so there's an apartment above the firehouse on Main Street at Disneyland. During construction in the park, which began on July 16th, 1954, Walt Disney wanted a place to stay on the property. It wasn't large, but it was convenient for those late nights and early mornings as Walt oversaw the Disney dream coming to life. As a tribute to Walt, a light is always left on in the apartment's front window, but according to legend, this wasn't always the case. It's said that one day a cast member looking after the apartment tried to turn the light off before leaving. However, when she came back later, the light had turned on again. According to one version, she actually left the building, noticed the light on upstairs, went back up to turn it off, went back downstairs, noticed it on again, and even unplugged the lamp only to find it, you guessed it, on again when she went downstairs. The last time she went up there to deal with the light, it said that she heard a voice. Walt's maybe say, "I'm still here." The light in the window has reportedly been left on ever since.
That's not creepy. That's just kind of, that's good.
You think it's happy that he's in the park still?
Yeah, he's just hanging.
Yeah.
That's not scary. We need a scary one, Disney.
It's interesting because, what was I gonna say? Because at first when it said that she came back and she saw it on again, I was like, oh, it's probably just like somebody just went in and turned it back on. But that it's saying that she went up and down and then unplugged it. That's pretty creepy. Spooky. Okay, The Boy in the Haunted Mansion, California edition. Okay, legend has it that a little boy's mother spread his ashes in the haunted mansion without getting the park's permission to do so. Okay, this is a real thing. People actually do spread their family's ashes in the haunted mansion.
Psychopaths, dude.
Which is crazy to me.
That's weird.
It's just crazy because it's like, oh, those poor cast members have to clean it all up.
It's disgusting.
And I don't even know where they do it. Like, do they do it on the ride, in the garden? Like, where do they do it?
Man.
Anyway. Ever since then, he's allegedly been heard periodically crying for his mother at the end of the ride. He's apparently been spotted at Pirates of the Caribbean 2, which is right next door to Disneyland's Haunted Mansion. For what it's worth, Disney's official stance on ash scattering is that it doesn't happen. According to a story in the LA Times from 2007, people do ask from time to time, but they're always told no. Additionally, it's worth noting that alleged ash scattering is connected to a wide variety of urban legends spreading across a bunch of parks and rides. I have seen, this was the next one I was going to say. The next story is The Boy in the Haunted Mansion, Florida edition, which is this picture. See it?
Yeah,
But
see, that one's a little creepy.
to me, though, that looks like clearly photoshopped. I don't know.
Yeah, seems a little too convenient.
But I don't know because, here, let's read the story. Okay, so it says that someone posting in the Walt Disney World Magic forums in 2004 wrote that they allegedly took the photo seen in the tweet I've embedded here, the author says. I'll put the picture on my stories when this episode goes up. That they took the picture while riding at the Haunted Mansion in Florida. As you'll see in the photo, after clicking the link, it appears as though a child is peeking his head out of the doom buggy and looking directly at me, the forum member wrote. Not only was he not there when I took the pic, there wasn't a child of this age within 20 people in line in front of me. What? How? And as you can see, he's only a few doom buggies in front of me.
There's always a kid in front of you at Disney.
Not only that, what's he doing looking at me? There is no flash and no visible light coming from me. It's all infrared and invisible to the naked eye. I don't know. Let's see. Let's zoom in. I don't know. It's a possibility, but it looks a little too pristine for me.
It just looks too good.
Yeah, too photoshopped.
And especially when all the other stuff is so blurry. All the lights are blurry, everything but him. He's super focused. Like, bad Photoshop job there, champ.
Okay, next one. Debbie Stone. This one says, in 1974, 18-year-old Deborah Stone was crushed to death while working as a hostess at the America Sings attraction in Disneyland. Okay,
Jeez.
That's terrifying. America Sings was located in the rotating theater that had previously hosted the Carousel of Progress. On the evening of July 8th, Stone was caught between the rotating theater wall and the stationary stage wall and died as a result. A safety light was subsequently put in, which warned the attraction's operator when people got too close to this dangerous area. Additionally, the stationary walls were later replaced with breakaway ones. The building recently housed Innovations and Superhero HQ. As a result, the case when senseless charges... I can't read. As is often the case when senseless tragedies occur, one of the ways that people have coped with this upsetting loss is by creating a ghost story for it. In this case, Debbie Stone has become a sort of guardian angel. It said that cast members working on the attraction, which was open until 1988, used to hear a voice warning them, be careful if they got too close to the walls. Ooh, creepy.
Yeah, that one, doesn't seem like there's much of a ghost. Maybe I'm tripping here.
It's saying that there was a voice warning them, be careful if they got too close to the walls. Why do you roll your eyes?
Next story.
Okay. Whoa, was that your stomach?
Yep.
What the heck? Okay, next up is George. I've heard a lot about George. Okay, it says... here we go. Conflicting versions of what happened to him, things that allegedly happen if you do or don't do certain things while riding his ride, and so on and so forth. Okay, it said that when the Florida version of the Pirates of the Caribbean ride was under construction, a welder named George was killed in an accident. Exactly what that accident was varies depending on who you talk to. According to some, he was crushed by a falling beam, while according to others, he fell from the burning city portion of the ride and died as a result. Ever since then, the ride has allegedly been plagued by a strange appearance. What?
When did this guy die?
I don't know,
What
Blake.
year?
It says when they built it. It was built after the park opened, so sometimes in the 70s.
Huh.
Why did you make me stop the story to ask that?
Because you would think you would know what he's killed by. It's kind of different whether it's a falling beam.
That's what they're saying, Blake. That's the whole purpose. It says that they think it's an urban legend because the story varies.
Definitely.
Oh my gosh.
Legend.
Anyway, can I finish my story? So, the ride has been allegedly plagued by strange occurrences whenever George is disrespected. Really, though, that's all George seems to be after, respect. He said to stop the ride whenever someone says, I don't believe in George. Oh, we gotta try this now.
I'll try it.
So
George.
So presumably, if you don't question his existence while you're actually riding Pirates of the Caribbean, you should be fine. Additionally, the rumor persists that cast members in charge of opening the ride for the day or closing it up at night say good morning or good night to George at the appropriate times to keep him appeased. As long as you do that, he's apparently happy. The reality, though, is that George probably didn't exist. You know what did really happen, though? Real bones were often used as props on the California version of the ride. According to Atlas Obscura, the fake skeletons available when the ride was first opened were deemed to be not realistic enough, so the Imagineers working on the ride got some real ones from the UCLA Medical Center. These eventually were replaced with fake bones. Well, I have to say that George is very popular because I've heard this story from a lot of people. But if he's real, I don't know. We once got evacuated off the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, but it wasn't because we said we don't believe in George.
No one talked about George.
But who knows? Maybe somebody in front of us did.
Mm-hmm.
Another vehicle. Okay, the next story. Mr. Oneway. One of the most passed around ghost stories clinging to the Disney parks. It's also the one with the most variations. The one thing that most versions do agree upon is exactly what he haunts and where, which is Space Mountain at Disneyland in California. So it says, some accounts describe Mr. Oneway as a red-haired man with a red face. Others say he's a kid dressed in 70s era clothing. The stories say he tends to hang out in the queue for Space Mountain, although whether or not he talks to people while waiting varies depending on who you ask. The red-haired man apparently doesn't, but the boy does, although it's worth noting that the kid version of Mr. Oneway doesn't have any knowledge of the changes made to the park since the 70s. According to some video footage I found, though, Mr. Oneway doesn't wait in the queue at all. He appears only at the actual ride cars, approaching them from the opposite side of the waiting area, the side on which people are supposed to exit the ride, and sitting down in any empty seats he can find. It's said that he disappears right before you hit the final tunnel at the end of the ride. For what it's worth, a second ghost dubbed Disco Debbie is also said to haunt Space Mountain, although her story is even weirder. She apparently glows in the dark. Interesting. Well, I don't really know what to say about that, although I think it's interesting that they say that the kid version doesn't have any knowledge of the changes made to the park since the 70s, which is a common theory about ghosts, that they live in like some like alternate dimension basically, and that they only like can cross over certain times. So he could be like stuck in the 70s version of the park.
Seems a little weird, man.
Okay, next, the monorail ghost. Your stomach. Jeez. Yeah. The monorail ghost has something in common with Dolly and Debbie Stone. His story stems from a real incident. In 1966, a 19-year-old named Thomas Guy Cleveland tried to sneak into Disneyland in Anaheim by scaling the park's outer fence and climbing along the monorail track. He was struck and killed by an oncoming train.
Those things go so slow, dude.
It doesn't matter. You could still get hit by one.
Get struck and killed.
These
they go
days,
like 5 miles an hour.
But that was a real accident, Blake. This is a real story.
That's a real one.
Yes.
Okay. All right, this is another.
Are you listening when I start the story? These days, it's said that a spectral figure can sometimes be spotted prowling around the monorail track. He apparently only appears at night, and he vanishes whenever a tram comes. Consider this one a cautionary tale.
Yeah, don't hop on the thing that has a moving train on it.
Oh my gosh. Blake just dropped his phone on the floor. When I first started working for Disney back in, like, I think 2014, a man actually, this is actually something common I don't think people really know, is that people do commit suicide at the parks. And a man had committed suicide at the Contemporary Resort, and I remember the monorails were shut down because I think he had committed suicide like outside, and so they had to shut the monorails down because if the monorails were going, you would be able to like see what was happening from like above at the Contemporary Resort, which is just crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sad.
And that actually happens pretty often. Okay, number 9. This one has another picture, so I'll post these when I post the picture as this video goes up. So
that looks like a deer.
That is not a deer. Let me see. Load up this video and cue it up to about the 3:10 mark. Okay, so it's apparently a YouTube video. You'll see some CCTV footage of something odd wandering around Disneyland. What's super weird is that whatever it is, multiple cameras recorded it. We don't really know who or what it was. Some folks think it might be Walt, although I've heard stories that Roy O. Disney, Walt's younger brother, might haunt the park as well. Or maybe it's just a trick of the light or something. All right, well, that is the last story. So here's the picture. And I'll post it on our Instagram story. And it looks like somebody walking with like a child, in my opinion. But yeah, who knows? Okay, next up, I have one more article. And this one is by Inside the Magic. And the article is called Paranormal Activity at the Disney Parks. ? Guests share their stories. And I will have these articles linked as well. So thank you very much for these articles. But anyway, the first story is called The Man with the Crank. The Man with the Cane. So it says, in case you aren't aware, there's an urban legend of a man with a cane roaming through a haunted mansion at Disney. One Reddit user said, the man with the cane is an urban legend about cast members who have seen an old man with a cane riding the doom buggies in the haunted mansion. The story goes that he can be seen in the area between the offload and onload points in the haunted mansion. They say that he is sitting alone in the buggy, holding a cane in his lap and staring straight forward. Spooky.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Okay, George, we already talked about George. Let's see if this one says anything different. No one has ever uncovered proof of a death at the ride. Cast members will attribute any malfunction in the ride to a ghost named George. Cast members have to say good morning, George, while opening the ride and goodbye, George, when closing it. Some cast members say that George is so responsive that if you just say, George, could you break the ride, that something would break down. Some CMs say that George hasn't responded since 2005, which probably means that Disney fixed whatever broken piece of equipment was responsible for George's visits.
Yeah, dog. George moved on, dude.
Although
should you.
I did have a friend who
Cast
used to
members.
work at the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, and she said that this was actually true, that when she would work in the control booth, that she would say like something about George and the ride would break. So I don't know if that's true or not. Anyway. Okay, the next one is called The Ladies. Okay, I've heard of the ladies, but also heard of a lot of CMs about the wire-haired lady that I think may be part of that legend. They see that they will see a floating wire-haired lady on the security monitors on the same section. They say she will show up, then not being seen for years, and carries a feeling of dread. Creepy. It doesn't really say where she's at. It just says...
Yeah.
That she appears on the security monitors in the same section. Some lady with wiry hair. Interesting. Okay. Tom Sawyer Island. There's really nothing there. It just says that people feel creeped out while they walk on Tom Sawyer Island.
Because no one goes there and it's always empty. That's probably why you're creeped out.
Yeah. I agree. And that's pretty much it for the stories. I also know there's a story of the Tower of Terror, that the Tower of Terror is supposedly haunted. And I think it's like the fourth elevator, like all the way to the right. I think that I don't know the full story, but I know that each of the elevators are named like Delta, Foxtrot, and I'm pretty sure Foxtrot is the one that's supposedly haunted. But I don't really know enough about that. But yeah.
And I definitely don't know anything about it.
Some spooky stories for you guys to get you in the Halloween spirit. I hope that you all enjoyed. And yeah, if you have any stories, send them to me in my DMs. I'd love to hear them. I'm very intrigued by haunting and paranormal activities at the parks. Like I said, next week's episode is going to be a little bit late. It's going to be coming out on Friday or Saturday rather than Wednesday next week, so be prepared for that. It's going to be our Halloween special. And of course, as always, please be sure to follow us at the Mouse Club Podcast on Instagram. And have a very happy Halloween. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you so so much for listening to the Mouse Club podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe on whatever platform that you're listening to this on. And if you're listening on Apple, please leave us a little rating and review if you would be so kind. If you would like to follow us on social media, please check us out, themouseclubpodcast.com, or send us an email at themouseclubpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at The Mouse Club Podcast. And if you'd like to follow our host, Marissa Potts, that's me, you can follow me at Little Miss Mariss. That's LittleMariss, Little Miss Mariss. And you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.